Bismillah. If there are any questions, we'll try to take them inshallah ta'ala. And obviously a topic like this or topics like these need a great deal of discussion. We gave you some general points and we gave you some general guidelines that will make a lot of things easier if you follow them, inshallah ta'ala. As far as the detailed, full discussion, every nook and cranny of Aisha's marriage, this, that, this answer, this response, this rebuttal, etc., etc., etc. Statutory rape in Islam, how old, that's further discussions, which we don't have time to mention in this class. Wallahu Azza wa Jal A'lam. Fadl Akhi.
Sheikh, first of all, how was your trip to the UK? And secondly, is there a possibility for climate having an impact on a woman's maturity levels at different ages?
Right. Bismillah. As far as how was the trip to the UK and does climate or one's environment have an effect upon a woman's maturity, etc. Jazakallah khairan for asking. The trip to the UK was great. Walillahi alhamd. We met with many brothers, many disciples. There's a lot of love, alhamdulillah. And I hope that I fulfill my mission by benefiting those brothers there. I hope that I did. And inshallah ta'ala, from among all of those brothers, I would be happy if it was one young brother who got the message and ran with it, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, let alone the other brothers and how they were affected and impacted. Jazakallahu khairan. As far as does one's environment or atmosphere or the actual climate, that's a fact. Socially and scientifically, someone who grows up in the middle of the city, right, is very different than someone who grows up in the countryside. Someone who grows up in a very cold, harsh, unforgiving climate is not like the one who grows up in a climate that has four seasons, let alone very hot, very arid. Okay, with regards to one's mind, let alone one's body and one's development. Softness, kindness, cruelty, preparedness, so on and so forth. That has an effect. Socially and what? Scientifically, right? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadl akhi.
I've heard the word khula translated many times as an annulment of the marriage, but you mentioned that there's a fasq as well. So can you explain the differences between them and if there are any specific requirements?
Right, bismillah. In general, there are many terms which overlap. Talaq, khula, fasq, okay, ibtal, etc. Terms overlap oftentimes. Divorce. Khula is a divorce, talaq is a divorce. Even a fasq is a type of divorce. I mean, they're separated, a separation. Now, who initiates that separation? What is needed for that separation to be initiated and commenced? How long is the waiting period before the woman can remarry, etc., etc.? That is going to be the circles within the circles and outside of the circles. Talaq, khula, fasq. Everyone understand this? Mm-hmm. And from one aspect, the khula is a talaq, but it is requested by the woman, granted by the husband. From one aspect, but at the same time, one says that the khula isn't talaq. Iddah being shorter or longer, and the iddah being of a talaq or the iddah of a fasq. So sometimes the word fasq is used even after a khula. And then if you talk about fasq, then that what's meant by that is ibtal. The marriage is cut. It's over. It's done. The husband has to agree. The mahr has to is over. The marriage is batil. It's annulled. Everyone understand this? Canceled. Wallahu ta'ala. That's in brief. We've explained that. I would advise you to go to the playlist, Bulugh al-Maram, which we explain the entire chapter of Talaq and Khula. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadl akhi.
If we take knowledge from one scholar, but we don't take his fatwa, and instead we only take a fatwa from another scholar, is this following our desires and picking and choosing?
Not necessarily. If you take from one scholar, but you don't agree, you disagree with him in one issue, that doesn't mean that you're following your desires. Following your desires is taking a view that you feel to be false or weak, at least. At best, it's weak. You know it's weak. It's a little shaky. I'm unsure if it's totally false, but it don't sound right. I'm not a scholar, I'm not a student of knowledge, but it don't sound right. Versus a person knowing in his heart that's batil. That makes no sense. There's no proof for that. It's based off of something bogus, but this alim said it. That is following your desires. I understand this. The madhab fanatics, they make up monsters and nightmares and boogeymen to support their fanaticism and their bigotry for their madhab. And they say that anyone who doesn't follow one specific madhab from A to Z, and he tries to follow what opinion he sees to be the strongest, they say he's just huna wa hunak. Yulafiq. There's talfiq. Is that you're just all over the place grabbing, and that's haram, you can't do that. There's ittifaq, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to also say you're just following your desires. You're not sticking to one thing. You're taking what's sweet for you. It's a difference. In this issue, Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala's madhab, I consider it the strongest. In this issue, based off of this proof and evidence, I believe that what Malik, Shafi, and Ahmed said is the strongest. What's the mushkila? That's not follow my desires. This makes no sense. There's no proof for this, but Fulan said it. So, hey, he's a mufti, he's a scholar. That's following your desires when you lack sincerity. So there's a difference. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadl akhi.
Regarding the question that the brother asked, where is the line in terms of you following your own opinion, instead of following, the explanation or the opinion of the imam of a scholar, that you perhaps.
Right. What's important is, what is the line with regards to one's opinion, following a scholar, so on and so forth. These things there's a detailed discussion with regards to all of these issues. But in brief, or to simplify things, the layman Muslim is going to learn the basic teachings of Islam from someone. In a madrasa, a masjid, his home, and 9 out of 10 times, those basic teachings are taught to him from someone who's taught by someone, in most cases, who has a madhab. And that's fine. But when something pops up and something arises, a modern day issue, or an issue that you didn't study because you're just a layman, that's a different story. So you have to ask someone of knowledge. And the person of knowledge that you ask could be from your country or your background, or he could be of a different background. So to make an example of this, a Muslim brother comes from Turkey, right? He's living in New York City now. He drives a taxi cab, or he owns a restaurant. He comes from a Hanafi background. This is what he was taught. This is how he was taught to make wudu, how to pray, how to dress, the beard, hijab, etc., 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 etc. But a new issue comes up and pops up that he never heard before or heard of in Turkey. And he has a customer or a client who has a cousin who's a learned person. And that learned person, he studied in North Africa. He's Maliki. He says, can you get your cousin to come to the restaurant today? Or I'll pick him up in the cab. I need to ask him some questions. He has enough common sense to know, let me ask someone who has knowledge. The Maliki scholar is going to tell him what he needs to hear, whether he agrees with the Hanafi teachings or not. So he's asking for a fatwa, he's asking for guidance for someone who has knowledge, whether that person has the same madhab, same background, or not. Understand the difference? So therefore, if something comes up, he's going to ask. Indiscriminately of the madhab or the background, someone who's from Ahlul Dhikr, someone of ilm, someone of knowledge. As far as that which is known to him, he's going to practice based off of his country, his background, which is going to be based off of, in most cases, madhab. Everybody clear on this? Last but not least, if there's an issue in which he has no access, he has no scholar, no person to ask, and he tries his best, Every layman person one day will have to use his mind. And every learning person one day in his life will have to blind follow. That's a reality. There's going to come a time in which the alim is going to have to go with someone. There's going to come a time in which the layman is going to have to be mujtahid. In a spot, you have to use what little you know, common sense, bismillah. Understand? Yeah. So there is a line.
I have one more question. In the case where you mentioned the father and the husband do not agree regarding the time, of that particular woman is ready, and then the qadi is not present. Who has the thing?
Well, I mean, if there's no qadi involved, like many times or oftentimes in our society, then there lies no doubt. The woman, her situation is going to be taken into consideration first and foremost. She has a valid excuse not to consummate the marriage, versus she's just scared. It's a huge difference. A woman could be a grown woman. I've seen it with my own eyes. Grown, she can be scared and super shy. And she's way past the age of sexual maturity. She's not 18, she's 20, 30 something years old. And she can be scared, run in and lock herself in the bathroom. Literally. Okay? So if a woman has a valid excuse, that's one thing. A woman doesn't have a valid excuse, that's a different story. And the general guidelines of patience, of gentleness, and rifq is going to be used. So in most cases, the father is going to be speaking on behalf of the girl. He's going to be in contact with his daughter. She says, no, Abby, I'm not ready yet. Please, please, no. He's going to be brokering her deal on her behalf. Now, so if there's no qadi, then they should try to seek some type of arbitration. And the arbitrator is to use fairness and equality, or not equality, fairness. And if there's a need for equality, then equality. And look into the situation. She has a valid reason, such and such, be patient, wait. There's no valid reason, it's just unnecessary. It's a different story.
Okay.
Clear on that? So there's not going to be no determining factor on whose statement is going to take precedence. But if I had to pick, I would give more precedence to the girl and the father. Because it's her body, her choice, her life. But at the same time, you are married. And your husband, what? He has rights over you. And obviously, stepping into the adult world is something that you just have to do. You can run, but you can't hide. It's an inevitable thing. And many people, oftentimes, they have these different issues and problems, and they don't realize that there are 1,000 people in the world who went through the same thing you went through. A gazillion men, I'm scared to get married. All these men in this room, they took that journey. And obviously, her women folk are going to tell her as well. You're scared, it's going to hurt, this and that. We all what? Took that journey. If it wasn't the case, you wouldn't be here. You get what I'm trying to say? So it should be a little bit of this and a little bit of what? Of that. Wallahu alam. Fadl akhi.
For making a mistake during salah with regards to the Quran recitation, you forget an ayah halfway through, something like that. Do you have to pray to rakat?
No. Making a sajda sahu is based off of the arkan and the wajibat and the some scholars say the recommended or disliked acts of salah. Nothing to do with the qira'ah. Sujood sahu is pertaining to the mechanical movements of salah, not the Quranic recitation and a person being caused to forget. Not saying forget, no. The Prophet said he shunned us from using that term, I forgot the Quran. Wallahu alam. Hamza.
What are the requirements for you to go to Medina University?
You gotta finish school. Gotta listen to your parents. Nah, you definitely have to finish middle school, let alone high school. No middle school, no high school, no Medina, Hamza. You understand? So even if you feel like your teacher's ignorant or jahil or not upon the sunnah, you have to complete your school. Your kafir, what? Schooling. No kafir schooling, no what? No Medina. Know that. Next question. Sheikh Khan.
Regarding first, can you request it or consider or apply for before the consummation of the marriage, after the marriage, or either?
Whatever the reason may be. The marriage being annulled, but obviously after the consummation is more complicated. And in most cases, if the marriage needs to be annulled, in most cases it's going to be done beforehand. But for argument's sake, it happens afterwards. This marriage is false. It wasn't valid. Well, I got the text message that the marriage was invalid. in the morning time. I didn't check my phone that night, right?
Damage is done, huh?
The brother says my phone was what? Do not disturb, huh? Allah musta'an, right? Is it reality or not? Ahi, why didn't you check your phone? I called you, I texted you. I told you that the sheikh from the masjid said that the marriage was invalid at 9 p.m. Well, I didn't check it until Tahajjud time. Everything was, I made a ghusl, then I read your text message. Your marriage is invalid. Sheikh such and such said, oh, well, subhanAllah. Allah musta'an. You with me, Sheikh? 4 seasons, huh? Don't forget. What's important is that the marriage being annulled is going to be annulled for whatever reason, regardless of the time. Clear on that? Inshallah.
And reason?
Excuse me, Sheikh?
And reason? The time and reason?
The reason isn't restricted to time is what I'm telling you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Once that reason is found, based off of that Islamic personality, qadi, or whatever the case may be, America or whatever, regardless of the time. Now, Wallahu ta'ala alam. Obviously, there are rulings pertaining to the annulment of the marriage and her iddah period, her waiting afterwards, regardless of the annulment and the reason why. Now, khair, inshallah. We'll take a few from online, inshallah. Shout out to Fazil if you're out there watching, inshallah, in the UK. The brothers here, they give you salams. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullahu khairan. Faddal.
Anwar Yusuf London, MD@T, Hyderabad, India. Our free will is beneath Allah's will. Can you explain this concept in more detail in an easy to understand manner?
It's very simple. Allah has the ultimate will. You have a will, but your will is inferior to Allah's will. You don't know what Allah has willed until after it takes place and happens. Your job is to try your best. And you're not going to go beyond the limit that Allah made for you. Period. And there are many examples you can make of this. Wallahu alam. Next question.
IT, California, USA. Where do I give kafara or do I fast 2 days?
Excuse me?
Where do I give kafara or where do I fast?
You're going to give the kafara yameen to a charitable society, whether it's in the United States, California, or other places, with the specific intention that this is kafara for a yameen. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
QB, London, UK. What are some guidelines for urinating in parks after Maghrib? I do night shift as a driver. That's all I don't.
Guidelines for urinating in parks after Maghrib?
Yeah.
Well, what's important is if a man has to use the bathroom or woman, Allahu alam, they didn't specify, in an unorthodox situation, after Maghrib, park, whatever the case may be, if you know that you don't have access to a normal bathroom, and you know that ahead of time, then try to make preparation. Don't urinate in the park if you don't have to. You know you're going to be working, you're far from the traditional bathroom, take the necessary means to relieve yourself. That's better. You go under a tree. The tree could be a fruit tree. People may have shade, which is prohibited. Jinn, Allahu alam, someone attacking you, you make the necessary preparations. The world, alhamdulillah, in 2022 is simple and easy. You can go on Amazon, you can order anything you need. You can have a portable bathroom, literally. Something that comes out of a bag or box, clean yourself, dispose of it. You don't even have to go to a park working in the night shift. That's my advice. You can do it right in your car, right in your whatever you don't have access to a normal bathroom. Done, simple, over. Wallahu alam.
Steve, College Park, Maryland. Is it best to purchase the hadith collections where all the weak hadith are taken out?
That depends. Is it best to purchase the hadith collections with all the weak hadith taken out? That depends on you. It depends on what you want. If I had to give you any general advice, I would say buy the books as the authors wrote their books. There are advantages and there are disadvantages of the segregation of hadiths, sahih and da'if. There are advantages and disadvantages. Some people, they may listen to this, they may not like it. I really don't care. Okay? Oh, you're attacking this one, you're talking about Sheikh Al-Albani. No, we're not attacking or talking about anyone. There are advantages and there are disadvantages of that mindset. This is the Sahih version of Sunan Abi Dawud. This is the Da'if version of such and such book. An advantage to this, obviously for a layman, he's going to go with the scholar that he trusts. Whether it's Shaykh Al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, wa radiya anhu, or others. This scholar said this hadith is sahih, that's enough for me. Khalas. That's sufficient. So that's an advantage. But the disadvantage of that is that this oftentimes breeds fanaticism. And these books become weapons. A layman person says, my sheikh declared these hadiths sahih. The hadiths that were mentioned by your sheikh in your book are da'if according to my sheikh. Therefore, your sheikh is a deviant. And his madhab is weak. His book needs to be burnt. And this is something which is inevitable. Unless it's somebody that has the proper guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But 9 out of 10 times, it's going to take place. A person is going to attack and criticize others based off of Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala's ijtihadat or other scholars. That's a fact. Let alone the fact that people, they're going to breed counter fanaticism. They're going to criticize Shaykh Al-Albani and accuse him of making something new and attacking Abu Dawud and Malik and such and such and such and such. The scholars for 1,000 years unanimously use this hadith. All of them mention this hadith. They all quoted this hadith. Shaykh Al-Albani came in this century and he said it's munkar, it's mawdu'. Fulan mentioned it, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn Taymiyyah, that's going to bring a what? Mashakil, major problems. And you're going to find many inconsistencies. We explained this many times before. Ibn Taymiyyah is quoting a hadith, using a hadith more than once in his books. And then this person comes along and says, Shaykh Albani said this hadith is totally weak, you can't use weak hadiths. Then mushkilah. And that's going to open up the door to those people who have all types of illnesses and diseases in their hearts against the sunnah and his people. And they're going to say, look at you guys. Here, Ibn Taymiyyah is your champion. And here, Shaykh Albani, it says the hadith is fabricated. How is your champion using this hadith? Something's wrong with your whole entire system now. This hadith that you base your whole aqidah upon, your whole madhab, is weak. And he says it's maqbool. Mushkila. It's a big problem. So buy the books in the original forms. Acting upon a hadith, passing on a hadith, so on and so forth, those are other discussions. But buy the works in their organic state. And if you have more money, more time, more space, you can also buy the summarized versions as well. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
AM Phoenix, Arizona. Should Muslim heads of states be held to a higher standard, or does the weight of their word give them an excuse?
A Muslim who is in charge in the state or place of authority and position and status, there lies no doubt he's held in a higher regard. And many things, not all things, some things he's equal with the subjects, but him being a leader, having power, no doubt about that. Wallahu alam.
J.M. Bronx, New York. Assalamu alaikum. Would you recommend a person who has been all over the place in learning to just stop everything and read the Sirah and Quran?
Teacher. Study under a teacher. Study under a guide. Let the teacher choose for you your path and your curriculum. You can't fix brokenness with more brokenness. You can't fix backwardsness with more backwardsness. I'm all over the place, so let me fix that by studying again by myself. La.
FID, London, UK. What's the ruling on car financing, paying monthly, etc.?
Car financing is like any other type of transaction. If it involves something which is prohibited by Allah and His Messenger, it's haram. If the haram is a necessity or a major need, it becomes halal. If there are alternatives, lawful alternatives, you stay away from that. وهكذا. Wallahu alam.
KA, Manchester, UK. Jazakumullahu khairan, Sheikh. When it comes to mahar, is it correct to say the less is better while sticking within the girl's customs?
The general rule is the lower the mahar, the better. From so many different aspects and reasons. Marriage being easy and simple. However, easy and simple is relative. Where I come from, where you come from, this thousands of dollars is relatively easy. It's a simple mahar. It's not too much for them to ask, give the girl this, hold a party. That's nothing crazy, right? So there are levels of easy and simple. Easy and simple doesn't have to just mean a couple of dollars. And if that's what you choose, alhamdulillah. It depends on the time and the culture. There are levels of easy and simple. It's a relative and subjective term. Wallahu alam.
J.M. Bronx, New York. How do we interpret the name of Allah? I know there are conditions that help to interpret it, but is that all we need to understand the names? For example, its name as-Salam.
What's important is, we've explained this in many classes, the correct understanding and the correct position concerning Allah Azza wa Jalla's names, His attributes, and His actions. And to simplify things, we say, first and foremost, that Quran is a book of clarity. The Arabic language is a clear language. The Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is clear and vivid. The understanding of the Sahaba and how they dealt with Allah Azza wa Jalla's names and His attributes and His actions are very clear. Extremely clear. And that is to understand them in their natural, organic, apparent meanings in Arabic. Until proven through other Quranic ayats, other ahadith, other clear context clues stating that that which is apparent isn't meant and something else is meant here. If that's not the case, then you stick with that which is zahir from the Arabic language, let alone that which is explained and expounded upon in so many ahadith, in which something could possibly mean something else in Arabic, but the Prophet ﷺ said it like this, and then he explained it like that, and he said like this and like this. There's no way that that could mean anything other than what's literal. Understand? Wallahu ta'ala alam.
J.M. Bronx, New York. If your job includes not helping a person to apply, but for reviewing the grant of a loan received and relayed to a person, would this be permissible?
I don't understand the question.
HD Action Germany. Which print is recommended for Al-Lu'lu' wal Marjan?
In Arabic or English? Yeah, specify inshallah.
AQ London, UK. How to overcome procrastination and doing good deeds. Anything you can share would be appreciated.
Procrastination is from shaitan. We've spoken this many times before. It's one of shaitan's strongest weapons. Why would you want to use shaitan's weapon against your own self? Every time you think about procrastinating, just stop and think about this is something that the shaitan loves. Wallahu alam.
AQ London, UK. Ustad, if parents keep asking for financial assistance despite there being an agreement for a set amount, can you refuse if this affects being financially stable?
Give your parents the money. Bottom line. Unless it's something that's clearly harming you, that's a different story. Wallahu alam.
MD Atib Hyderabad, India. Who does Allah guide and misguide?
Next question.
SN Melbourne, Australia. If the Khatib is wearing skinny tight jeans and leads the prayer, is Salah valid or should I repeat my prayer? Also, what about if the Khatib does not start with the Salam and mention taqwa in their khutbah?
If you prayed already, don't make your salat up again. That's going to open up the door to other problems. In the future, give advice to the Khatib not to wear skinny jeans. Inshallah. Just give him nasihah before the khutbah. Buy him a thobe. Get him a shalwar kameez, a izar, a Nigerian piece, Gambi, whatever culture it may be. You know, give him advice, inshallah, in private. Sheikh, Jazakallah, we bought this for you. We think you look very nice. Even if it's a robe. We think, this could be reality. MSA or a gas station, a musalla on the road somewhere, you know. It's not a traditional masjid. Buy him a gift. And tell him, inshallah, this robe looks better on you than those skinny jeans, bro. Inshallah. Wa assalamu alaikum. Khairan, inshallah. Fadal.
If a person wakes up from sleep and he has 5 minutes until the obligatory time for prayer is over, should he do tayammum or do his wudu because he doesn't have enough time to do wudu?
Make wudu.
And if he has major impurity?
Make wudu.
The time is going to cross.
Wash up.
Oh.
And some scholars say pray with tayammum.
Yeah.
Both are prerequisites of prayer. Time and tahara. You understand? والله تعالى أعلم صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد.
Yes.